Those who are unfortunate enough to hear me sing know that I don't really let my lack of talent discourage me from belting out the soundtrack of The Little Mermaid at every given opportunity. Now, as much as I enjoy rupturing everyone's eardrums, musicals have had a profound impact on me. Now, I was born and raised in a family that requires Disney movies like it requires food, water, and shelter, so naturally I gained an affinity for musicals. Now, as I grew up and started to mature a little bit, I realized that there was a reason I was so much more familiar with Elphaba stage directions during Defying Gravity than I was with modern popular rap music of my generation. Musicals have shaped who I am and my view on the world, and well, the reason I'm here today is because I believe that society could really do well with a lot of these lessons. So without further ado, lesson 1. Never give up, but sometimes do. Now, I learned this from one of my favorite musicals of all time, Legally Blonde. In it, the main character, Elle Woods, gets dumped by her boyfriend, and she follows him to law school because of it. Now, at Harvard Law School, yes, Harvard Law School, she finds herself excelling in the legal arts. So she realizes that she could have a better career, so she dumps Warner. Now, just imagine if she hadn't dumped her boyfriend. She would have lost her amazing career and an even better guy. So the moral of the story here is pick and choose your battles, otherwise life isn't going to live up to its full potential. Lesson number 2, don't be in a rush to grow up. Now, I'll have to admit, I'm guilty of being enamored by adult life. I mean, who doesn't want the freedom to go get ice cream whenever you want? But as I put more thought into it, I realized that adulthood is more paying taxes than impromptu ice cream trips. I learned this from Spring Awakening, which is a musical about adolescence at its best. Now, in it, the main character, she discovers where babies come from. And although the reproductive system is something that we're all taught at 5th grade, it's the principle of being enamored with something that you don't quite fully understand that leads you to not so great of a life because you deprived yourself of a childhood. Now, lesson 3, accept your differences. It might just save your life. Now, this comes from another one of my favorite musicals, which is Wicked. Yes, Wicked again, I know, highly recommend it. But in it, Elphaba, the main character, is born, well, green. And she is so set on wanting to be normal, wanting to be like everybody else, that she throws away the gift of her magical powers, which she is also born with. By being obsessed with normalcy and conforming to society, she throws away her entire life and, spoiler alert, becomes the Wicked Witch of the West. So, to sum it up, accept who you are and be okay with who you are. Otherwise, you might just gain an unlikely distaste for small dogs and their teenage girl owners. Lesson number 4. Only you can change your story. Now, this comes from a childhood favorite of many people, Matilda. In it, Matilda is a little girl who lives with really horrible parents, a really awful brother, and an even worse principal. Yet, despite her circumstances, she is able to look to herself to find happiness in her life. Now, I'm not saying that we don't have our bad days or our bad periods, but looking to external forces to pull us out of any bad situation most likely won't yield the desired results. Healing always comes from within. Lesson number 5. We are stronger together. I feel like this is a really important one, especially in society today, because there's so much divide, whether it's between political parties, races, religion, genders, anything. And we're so persistent with it. But if we would just realize that by coming together we could fight all kinds of evil in this world, the world would actually be a better place. So this comes from a more trivial example from Bring It On the musical. And in it, there are two rival cheerleading squads, and they're fighting for the 2.5 hours that they're on stage. But in the end, they put aside their differences and come together and realize, hey, we're really, really good when we combine our squads. And this pertains to life in general today, because we're so set that we have to be divided, but by coming together, we could be so much stronger. Lesson number 6 comes from a lesser known musical, which is called Bear, the musical. So in it, these two boys go to a Catholic school, and they're forced to keep their homosexual relationship a secret because of the rules that society places upon them. Now, many people look to religion for guidance and support, and that is a great thing, but it's the principle of letting something external, something that is not part of your core, determine who you are. That is the message I'm trying to send. So by letting someone else tell them who they are, these boys were deprived of something that we all strive to have, and that is love. So last lesson, I promise I'm almost done, is, well, don't hurt your friends. You never know when you're gonna need them. Now, I got this from Heathers the Musical, where the main character kills all of her friends, and I'm really hoping that most of us don't have the urge to go that far. However, pushing those closest to you away in any form or fashion could really hurt you, because when somebody wakes up in the morning to go to school or to work, they're not thinking about, yeah, I'm so excited to get all of this work done and be productive and all of this. Usually they're thinking about, I get to see this person today. And that's something that breaks the monotony of everyday life, something that makes days a little less mundane. And by pushing people who allow you to have this feeling away, it just leads to, well, a really boring life, and sometimes a bad one too. Now, I know what you're thinking, but it's not just me, the crazy theater lady, preaching to you on this random topic. There was actually an article written by Pacific Standard News that explains the impact that musicals have on people, and how people walk in to a theater one day and walk out with a completely different perspective on the world. Now, pairing this with some research that I did, I realized that musicals do have an impact. So this graph shows the attendance of musicals in the US on and off Broadway for the past 5 years. And yes, it has gradually increased, but if you take the totals of these musical seasons, so to speak, then you get 54,138,638 people who have come and gone to one or more musicals over the past 5 years, which relatively is not that long. So, assuming that I still remember my first grade math skills and I can still round, that is 55 million people who go home with a different view on the world. And that's just in the United States alone. So based on this, I have come to the conclusion that musicals do have the potential to change the world. So all of these lessons and all of these facts have led me to one thing. and that is the fact that I implore you to go home and watch or listen to one musical on Spotify, Pandora, or whatever other platforms are out there. And hey, maybe leaving life lessons to the vocally talented won't be so bad after all. Thank you.